Yeah, this is stuff that nobody talks about. And we're bringing it to our platform to talk about it because it's stuff that needs to be flushed out. If we're all to move together and forward, we need to talk.
That's it. You might be on the job and you know people talking behind your back and saying different things like that. So that's kind of stuff take place. So that's why we talk about it here. So everybody get a chance to share. So good evening, everyone. Thank you again so much for tuning in. This is the Realdealfam Network. I am Andre and this is my gorgeous wife, Essie.
Boom.
Oh, man.
You see that?
I see it.
All right. I'm the boss of the show, but he is the head of the house, and that's just the way it is.
That is. They know it. They know it. Thank y'all again so much for tuning in, and we highly appreciate it. We thank y'all so much for supporting the channel and subscribing. It's been an absolute blessing, and we thank y'all so much.
Yes, thank you so much. Keep subscribing, keep liking, keep sharing our videos. We got a great message about our history, our heritage, where we're going, and all the things we've been through. And, you know, hey, it is what it is.
That's it. And we like to thank God right now for this opportunity. And if you hadn't had the opportunity yet, please go ahead now and hit that subscribe button before we get into it.
Subscribe.
All right, they did it. Thank you. We're going to dive right in. We got a topic today. It's not intended to, I guess, make people feel a certain type of way, but we would like to talk about the relationship or the relationship lack thereof between African Americans and other non-white people.
But what you mean? Everybody knows this except African Americans. All the other cultures don't like African Americans. They look down on them. They tell their own people this. And so African Americans are the only ones that don't have no clue.
She literally dove right in.
I'm just saying. So we're going to talk about this, okay? Because a lot of African Americans, you know, we just accept and love most all people. We don't really have any hate in our heart for anything or anybody. And so when we hear that you don't like us and you trying to kick it and hang with us and our you know, absorb our culture and stuff like that, then we find out on the low you don't really fool with us. I mean, that's low.
Yes, I think for me, first thing I like to say is that I think there was a young lady who recently did a piece or an article where she said that African Americans are what they call ethnically arrogant, something to that effect. She just called us some arrogant folk.
You're darn right. What? We are the salt and the flavor of the earth. That's what God said. And we flavor and season up everything and make it palatable.
Right.
Everybody else around the world always try to bite off our culture and always try to appropriate and do it, all the things that we do, and then take it for themselves and then don't give you credit. So, I mean, what you want us to do about it?
Right, and we ain't gonna get it twisted at all. I love my people, and I'm gonna tell you flat out, and I ain't gonna mix words. I do think we the junk. I think we all that and a bag of chips.
Yeah,
so if that rub you the wrong way, you just got to roll with that.
Yeah, I mean, we're African Americans are like the only people, maybe, I don't know, maybe a couple of, but that love being black. We love, as much as we're hated and despised and killed and all that, we still love being black.
Yes, 100%. I wouldn't want to be anything but black. And like my mom always used to say, I ain't got to do nothing but be black and die. That's it. So, but that doesn't mean that we look down on any other group of people or anything like that. I think that's the problem. A lot of groups do that and push those type beliefs on us.
I think that's because they don't like being black. Most other groups always, if they don't desire to be more European in appearance, then they're trying to be more European in action, or like, you know, going to school. And you know, just loving yourself is a hard thing. I know for in the Caribbean, a lot of them don't even like intermarrying with darker skin. Like, it's a thing. They tell your family members, don't marry a dark skinned person. For most African Americans, your parents don't tell you that. That's no.
Right. I think that.
They might tell you don't bring no white girl home, but they ain't gonna tell. I'm just telling you that. Yeah, well, you know, we might say that, But we don't tell you don't bring no dark skinned person home. That's
it's the most disrespectful thing to me, to your creator, to aspire to be something that you're not, to be somebody else. He made you who you are. Roll with that, baby. Be happy with that. Be content with that. And as far as want a certain type of look, or want a different, don't bring a dark skinned woman in there. All women are beautiful. Everybody got their own personal preference. There's nothing wrong with that. But you can't down another person and say, oh, that sister there, she ain't light skinned, I ain't fooling with her. That's absolutely moronic.
And another thing is, I don't think skin lightening or whitening was really a thing here until a lot of people from other places started coming and introducing that. But for the most part, most African Americans, dark, light, whatever you are, you're not really trying to. Now that don't mean ain't no colorism. Now I mean there's colorism in my family. We all different shades and stuff, and sometimes if we go out or whatever, and the lighter skin one or a whiter one or a dark skin one, we could go through the line and check out separately. We literally can see from how we get treated in the store, the different types of, the way people get treated based on the color of skin you are. So we're not saying there's no colorism, but we are saying generally and typically overall, African Americans love being black.
We do. Like I say, I think we all that. But I've heard that African Americans has traveled over to the continent, and this another issue. When they go to different places, they go to patronize like a restaurant or something like that. They say they've experienced times where the Africans would treat the Europeans better and make sure they get served quicker than they did the African Americans. And those are the type of issues that I like to discuss today. Things like that. The relationship between African Americans and other people of the diaspora and other people that are non-white, such as Asians and so forth.
I mean, so if you did, Beyonce's album brought out a lot of these issues, and so along with some satanic stuff, we ain't gonna talk about that right now. We're gonna talk about African American and your culture, or how people look at you around the world. Okay, so yes, that's true. In other people's cultures, most other people's cultures around the world, they teach their people to look down on African Americans, especially the black people in general.
Why would that be? Why would you think someone would do that?
I mean, because they need to make themselves feel better. And for many years, you had you a little curse on. You could see you was, getting mistreated all around the world.
That's a little low self-esteem. What I equate that to.
I mean, if you're being killed and raped and maimed and all kind of stuff around the world, I don't know if it's whether protectionism or whatever for the people, but yeah, that's just they instill, Indians instill that in their culture. They have actually a caste system. So what we were talking about Kamala Harris the last time, she's from actually the highest caste system in India, even though her mom was dark. She's from the Brahmin Indians, and so they have all different caste levels, and you can't really intermarry between the caste system based on your birthright. And this one is more, social standing and more ability to get more wealth and different networking abilities than somebody born somewhere else. They even have a caste that's called the Untouchables. Like they cast them out. They're not even allowed to touch them, or they're tainted. That ain't nothing to be mixed up with that culture. But African Americans ain't checking for that.
To me, that's just how silly man is. For you to sit around and let somebody tell you you're untouchable, and then you to consume that and believe it, then you are simple. I mean, that's crazy.
And they're not even allowed to get certain jobs based on their caste system. So I think the next level up, I don't know what it's called, I forgot. I'll put it on the screen. But they're the ones that go around and have to take the job, like clean your sewage and clean your toilet. This all the nasty just stuff around us. Those are the people. So the type jobs, your whole life is centered around your birthright.
So the other ones, they don't stink. They don't. Everything about them is lovely.
So they keep it power by the caste system, and then they have matchmakers that match people together based on the caste that they're in. So that's where Kamala Harris's family is from.
What about the relationship though between the Indians, like when they come to the continent over in Africa, the way they treat the Africans, the way they view the Africans?
So in Africa, when the Indians typically, now this ain't everybody, but this is just in general, when they come to the continent of Africa, where everybody's black, well, not everybody, but still have some white folks over there that's trying to rule stuff. But they go over there thinking that they're better than the black people. Now they got black Indians, okay, and they are blacker than the South Africans a lot of the times, and they still mistreat and are prejudiced against the Africans over there.
We in the Indian community definitely have a problem with anti-blackness, and I've called out a lot of different cultures, Western cultures, and ideas for being anti-Indian, but it's time for us to take a good hard look at ourselves. We definitely have in our community a huge problem with anti-blackness, and it's been going on for generations upon generations. Like, I'll give you an example of one of the most iconic Indian leaders of all time, Mahatma Gandhi. When he was in Africa, he actually openly, on paper, and it's dictated, that he tried to convince the African government, was it South Africa? No, it was in Tanzania, I think. Correct me if I'm wrong. That Indians were above blacks in their own countries, in their own natural habitats that we had come to as merchants. It's unbelievable that he would convince, because this is when, there were segregation rules and such in Africa. And he actually wrote documents saying that, well, don't treat the Indians like you treat the blacks, because we're above them when it comes to being immigrants. So we do need to discuss the fact that there is a huge problem within the Indian community about anti-blackness and colorism. And then on top of putting black people down, we've carried that over here to Canada, and we still have that racism problem towards black people in Canada, where Indian people here in Brampton, wherever you go in the GTA, do feel as if they're superior towards black people, and that's ridiculous.
So you telling me you can invite somebody into your home and
country,
and then they could be prejudiced against you in your own home and conduct business and do everything in your land, and you allowing this?
Exactly. And so, but you allow that's the same thing. Most African Americans are unaware. Over here, a lot of immigrants do the same thing. When you stop at their gas station or their little food convenience stores or little hair and nail shops, and they hover over you thinking you finna steal, or they don't want to turn on the gas pump because you're black, or they don't want to they upcharge you or whatever. This is all the stuff they get away with by being prejudiced and racist, and you still continue to patronize their businesses,
right?
Because oftentimes they're the only ones that have business in the neighborhood.
And they were showing footage of Africans in their own land where Indians and Asian people, Chinese, come to Africa, and they go over there to conduct business, and they employ some of the native people, the Africans there, and they end up abusing them, beating them,
keeping them as slaves,
all types of things. I think that this is where African Americans in I think the way people view us around the world is. I don't consider us being able to, where we would take that, where you would come into our country and you would beat on us, and we're allowing you to come there.
So now white folks do that over here to African Americans, and by law, they're able to get away with it, but now you see things is changing. But now we don't allow other immigrants.
Well, first of all, this ain't our land. We was brought here.
Well, I'm just saying. There's other claims that there were many black African Americans that was here, that was Native Americans, and our Native American ancestors merged and intermingled with the black Africans, and that's how most African Americans are Native American and descendant of Hebrew slaves. So that's our specific culture. Okay, they call us the tribe of Judah.
But you're talking about the difference of what I'm saying in terms of Africa is that
we ain't having it. We
Africa is a group of established nations, and they're established at this point, and they're allowing immigrants, which is Chinese, Indian, people from Southeast Asia, to come over there and to live there and conduct business. And then when they get there, they look down upon the Africans and treat them in ways that is not appropriate and inhumane.
Well, if you didn't know, there's a big push to get a lot of African Americans to come back to the continent, or at least financially support Africa, and to turn it into like a union type situation. This is what you have to have, like the United States of America, in order to have power and could be able to control commerce and where other people ain't ruling you. You have to be united. So how do African Americans fit in this? When we look over there and see that there's all these other people over there treating them badly, the rep around the world that African Americans have is that we don't put up with that. 400 years of being over here oppressed, we still fight back. We ain't finna lay down. Now we finna tussle on the road with you and something to pop off, but you ain't finna just do all that
Yeah, there was a scene where there was an African American family that was traveling abroad. I think they was on their way to the continent, and there are no direct flights out of the United States straight to the continent. You have to go through Europe. And there's a notorious airline over there for treating people that go into the continent a certain type of way. But anyway, the African-American family was on the plane, and the stewardess on the airline began to talk to the brother in a disrespectful tone.
Was that Berlin? Where was it?
That was the Belgium airline.
Yeah, Belgium. So now Belgium is notorious for being very cruel and brutal. One of the most brutal places of slavery ever, where they chopped limbs off and did all kind of evil satanic stuff to them people. And so a lot of places in Europe, they don't have a lot of black people, and so they still kind of have those ways of thinking about black people, that they could just do any kind of thing to them and treat them any kind of way. They ain't got to treat them like humans.
Right, and they had a history of disrespecting
prejudice,
Africans that was on the flight that was coming from Europe and going back to the continent.
So now a lot of African Americans and stuff are starting to go over there, hot heavy, investing and moving or whatever, going back and forth, doing things.
We're traveling to the continent a lot more, at least prior to this whole pandemic situation.
Doing business, all kind of stuff.
But they thought the brother was kind of meek, like the Africans they had experienced prior. And so the stewardess went to talking sideways to the man. Next day, she got bigoted and slapped that man. And
so another stewardess had hit him upside his head, so he went to go handle that. Then the other stewardesses, all three of them came, and then they put the lady up front. And she was like, "Oh, no, you need to sit back down." Boop!
And slapped the brother. The brother knocked the mess out that woman.
He slapped her back. Boop! You what?
Put your gun. Calm down. Calm down.
He put his hands on it. We're on the airline. This steward his hands on my husband, and he's bad. You need to take a picture.
Go with her.
I said, keep the
I will beat the out you. I will beat the out you.
Where are the police? Where are the police?
You better get off.
This is your
You better get off.
Where are the police?
You better get off. You better get off.
Where's the police? Where's the police? Where's the security? And all he had to do was help. All he had to do was help. He touched him! He touched him! He touched him! He hit him! You saw him! You saw him! You saw him! You saw him! And I'm reporting. We saw you! You saw him!
No, he hit me.
Not in
His
line.
sword.
Not in line.
But they say I hit him. He hit me.
Listen, we heard it already. Now you're finished. Okay. Listen, if you don't finish, you will get in trouble.
Listen.
You will respect
tell
me.
him.
We asked
No,
for help.
touch me.
Huh?
You guys see that? Bro.
This isn't illegal. This is not against the law. This is my right. This is my right. This is my right. This is my right.
Okay. Yeah, it's against the
Whose law? Show me. Show me.
What's your name, bitch?
But so he ended up throwing down with all the stewardess on the airline. And the airplane, like I said, was going to the continent, so it had quite a few Africans on the plane.
The Africans helped beat up the African American who was getting abused on the plane.
They took the side of the stewardess. And
You
so,
better believe if it was some Negroes on that plane, they would, everybody would have been up on the thing going at it.
Right.
But no, Africans tend to side more with the European situation. They say they don't understand our plight of slavery, why we're so hot and heavy and angry about being oppressed for so long. They didn't have that over where they at. We need to just get over it and then try to make moves and do what we're going to do without asking for reparations or having any kind of angst or being angry about the situation.
Let's see. Welcome back to my channel. It's Ronnie Marcus. Thank you so very much for tuning in. And if you're new to my channel, please do me that favor and press that subscribe button. Guys, the reason why I started this petition about our Cathey is because her attitude, her behavior, it's disgusting. She is so immature, it's unbelievable. Just recently, I watched her video when she was talking about African lawyers, judges wearing white wig or blonde wig. Is that even a joke? That's international. That's worldwide. Why don't you go and read and understand why everyone wears that hat that you're calling a wig? Blonde wig. Instead of sitting on social media looking so stupid and dumb.
Right, and that basically summed up, like we were saying, like the relationship. The brother didn't have any support from the Africans on the plane.
He getting trouble, broke his ribs, all kind of stuff. Africans stomping on the man, all kind of stuff. Remember, biblically, okay, African Americans are Negroes. We're descended from Hebrews, tribe of Judah, Israelites. Okay. Africans are descendant of Ham. Okay, so that's their land over there, all that kind of stuff. We're able to come to visit, pass through, and different stuff like that. And if you want to know more about that, we'll talk about that in another video. But we're not, biblically and culturally, everything about us, we're not the same people. So we ain't finna put up with you doing all that to us.
Right, and that's the difference. So we have a certain amount of respect. I'm sure they do as well, but there's things we've experienced over here being in the States that we have zero tolerance for foolishness, and we just not gonna have it. And so we coming into conflict. I heard another young lady who said she grew up in New York, and that is, she said, is a melting pot of various different races and cultures and ethnicities. But even people who were as dark as she is would always look down on the native African Americans, saying 5 things like people say, oh, they can't marry a African American, and they look down upon like they was something different. So I'm trying to figure out, like, where did that come from? That is foolishness.
Yes. So a lot of times our videos, we're talking about reparations and the things African Americans have been through. And for some reason, every now and then we'll get somebody from the Caribbean or whatever that just will be like,
interject in this conversation.
I'm like, what's up with all that? They feeling all that. And I'm like, well, that's y'all over there. But everybody know the Caribbeans, they all have some grandma that they tucked in the corner, or grandpa that's black, dark skin. And they don't want to, acknowledge that. They know that's grandpa so-and-so. She's black. We don't say nothing about that. That happens in Puerto Rico and Cuba. Even take, for instance, Cardi B. Cardi B she says she's not black. She says she's in an
we don't claim her anyway. So
she's in an interracial relationship with her man who's African American. So that's the thing. African Americans, you got to start coming to the conclusion. A lot of these people they don't want to be you. But they'll take your culture, they'll take all the progress that you made and try to assimilate that to be you. So, I mean, they tell you up front, people don't fool with you.
Right, and so that's where we have to make some changes. So you have to decide whether you're going to support these people. If you coming in and you trying to appropriate our culture, you trying to get in and benefit and profit off us, and then talk sideways about African Americans.
Yeah, like take for instance J-Lo. J-Lo is what is she, Puerto Rican or whatever? And so she likes to take actual vocals from from black women and put that on her track, like she's singing it and stuff, and do your dance moves and all that kind of stuff. Even date your man or whatever, but she's she don't really rep African Americans and stuff like that. And so she even crossed the picking line while we were all, not trying to make a stand for, the NFL and Kaepernick and all that. She went and crossed the line and did all that performance and stuff, which was all right, but the idea that you cross the line, that we're trying to fight for rights, and you take your bootang up there and go dance and juke and jive, knowing all the stuff that we're trying to fight for, that let you know.
Well, I just think it's their prerogative to affiliate and associate with whichever group they would like to. The thing of it is, for us, is not to support people who don't support us.
Right, that's the thing.
That's where we're gonna have to pull back on. And you look in our communities. The story is old. We've heard it several times.
Now we're awakening.
You have people in your community that predominantly own the majority of the businesses, the stores, all the commerce in your area, and none of that money is reinvested back into your community. It's taken out. But you continue to support them. And those people talk and say different things and look down upon your community.
Get all your dress. Take, for instance, what's her name? What's that? The P-Pat heard around the world. What was her name?
Which one?
The one that was patting her junk with.
Evelyn.
Evelyn. Now Evelyn, she don't want to be black, but everything about her, she seemed like she's black. The Kardashians are the same way, and then they'll tell you flat out they ain't trying, until they get in trouble or jammed up. Then they want to be Afro Latino or whatever. And then before time you claim that. Stop.
Right. So just know who is for you. And just like we said in the previous videos, African American, truly, when it comes down to it, at the end of the day, you don't have any friends. That's why we constantly keep getting taken advantage of, because you keep saying, oh, this person, they got a little shade on them, they got a little melanin, or the person might be even that's darker than you. They still won't ride for you. And so you have to understand that. You have to roll with your people. Make sure you buy your people first. Stop supporting these people who do not support our community. Yeah. That goes for politicians, business people, entertainers, anybody.
Yeah, and I was surprised because I had you're friends with everybody. You love everybody.
Exactly.
But even Jamaicans and all the island people, they got something's going on, man. You tell them, they tell you their parents don't agree with them marrying African Americans because we don't have any culture.
In the age of racially charged discussions and political correctness, some Black Americans may think that Jamaicans do not understand racism. Many don't. Jamaicans who arrive in the US sometimes have a difficult time understanding racism. It isn't that we're not aware of racial disparities, but rather, being from a country which is predominantly Black, it sometimes has to hit us in the face before we're able to recognize it. Here are some possible reasons Jamaicans don't understand racism. Number 1. We did not grow up seeing race. When we played Chinese skipping or marbles with our friends, we didn't see race. Some were probably Indian or Chinese descendants, but our friends were just our friends. not people of a different race. In fact, for many of us, it wasn't until adulthood that we began to notice what was different about our childhood friends, and even then, it didn't matter. Number 2, we filter things differently. Since we haven't been exposed to blatant racism in our own country, we don't readily conclude that someone's action toward us might be racist, even if it is. For example, if we get into an elevator and people move to the side, we might think there is a problem but don't automatically assume racism. Likewise, in a restaurant, if we're not served right away, we won't necessarily think that it is because we're black. Our social construct did not expose us to these behaviors at home, which allow us to see it through different eyes. Number 3. Jamaicans cling to the out of many one people motto. We believe in our motto that proudly proclaims our heritage as a mixed race people. We openly talk about our DNA makeup, who is mixed with what race and nationality. It's a natural thing for us, and being mixed does not make you any less Jamaican. Number 4. There are no black or white neighborhoods. The neighborhoods in Jamaica are not distinctively black or white. Rather, they are divided along socio-economic class, which in Jamaica is a much bigger issue than racism itself. There are many who feel that people of a lower socio-economic background don't belong in certain communities regardless of how hard they have worked to achieve what they have.
I think that's the European influence to me.
I'm like, dang, that's...
For a lot of people, a lot of different countries and territories, they ascribe to the European philosophy. They still got the Queen is like over the money, and they making pledges to England and things like that. So you're gonna adopt those type of mindsets. But you have it's almost like what we call it Stockholm syndrome.
Yeah, that's what it is.
So if a person resembles and look like you, but you side with somebody who's already oppressed you. If you in the islands, you've been oppressed. You know what it's like. So why would you come to America and see brothers and sisters that look like you, and then you look down on them? It makes no sense.
I don't know, maybe it makes them feel better.
Yeah.
I know you have a lot of everybody's not the same. Some of my great friends are, Jamaican, and
right,
they're not that way. But in general,
we talking about the one they know who they are, the individuals that carry those particular mindsets.
Mm-hmm. The Indians. I had a good friend, and I couldn't even when I was a kid. We lived in the burbs, and I couldn't even come in the house because now she Indian. Her daddy is dark as my stove back there, and I can't even come in the house. So that we're just telling you these things exist in their cultures, and they're prejudiced against African Americans.
Well, that's why it's very important that we instill that in our kids early, so that we have self-respect. So anytime somebody do something like that, it's deuces. We out of there. We don't need to come in your place. We don't have to associate with you. So that's why I keep telling y'all, we good. We are that junk. We are the bomb. So it don't matter whether you roll with us or not. We look good, we talented, and we are blessed folk.
The flavor of the earth.
And they know it. So I don't see us around here copying nobody else's style. We ain't trying to have nobody else's flavor. We do our own thing, and that thing's moving all over the world. People out the African American community can fly to Asia, they can go to Europe, they can go to different places, and they well known all over the world, and everybody trying to mimic their style. We don't do that to other folk. But we don't look down on folk. And we ain't trying to exalt ourselves above, but we have self-respect, self-pride.
Right, that's the thing. Pride in ourselves.
That's right.
Now it's our season. That's the thing. It's our season. If you haven't realized that yet, you got another thing coming. So either you gonna fall in line or you gonna get left behind.
That's what it is. That's exactly what it is. But if everybody out there get prayed up, get in the word so you can get your heart right, then you know who the master is and you follow his precepts. You won't be running around here talking about they can't marry this person just because they look. It's a difference to say we can't marry them because they have different philosophies or something like that, but not just because they Indian, they African American, they this or that.
Well, actually, in the Bible, God tell you don't go off and marry them.
Right, because I'm saying they got different
culture.
Beliefs.
Right, yeah.
That's
so,
different.
but we've been doing our own thing. Now they, you know what I'm saying? Hey, you gotta get back. Apparently, you gotta get back to the old way of doing things.
That's it. Everybody else been doing it. We just behind time.
Right, you ain't aware. Now we're aware.
Right, and like we say, think twice before supporting somebody or supporting a business, a corporation, anything. If those people don't support you, you don't have to have that product or that service. Look elsewhere. Find somebody who will support you, or they doing something.
The Chinese following you around in the store, in the hair store, or the Indian, the Arabs don't turn on that pump.
And if you have a business, do those people patronize your business? If they don't, it's a wrap, baby. That's all it is. It ain't personal, it's just business. We thank y'all again so much for tuning in. Y'all been absolutely wonderful. And like we say, we ain't saying anything to offend anybody.
Yeah, this stuff that's been practiced on us for hundreds of years. Now we just implementing what y'all do.
That's it. We just confident in our people, and I hope y'all are the same. But you don't have to hate and discriminate or anything like that. Just be confident with who you are and move like that. And everybody be good for
The
it.
whole goal is for everybody to be on equal playing field.
That's it. That's it. Ain't nobody no better. You got your gifts and talent. We got ours. And that's just how it is. But thank y'all again so much. If you hadn't had the opportunity yet, please go ahead now and subscribe. You'll be hearing great content like this. Some of it a little bit controversial.
Yeah, this is stuff that nobody talks about. And we're bringing it to our platform to talk about it because it's stuff that needs to be fleshed out. If we're all to move together and forward, we need to talk about it.
That's it. You might be on the job and you know people talking behind your back and saying different things like that. So that's kind of stuff take place. So that's why we talk about it here. So everybody get a chance to share. So go ahead. If you have any comments, please leave them below. It could only help edify and educate us all. We thank y'all again so much. Have a blessed evening.
Good night.
Good night.